Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. Here. All right, Sully. Let's have a look through your LinkedIn profile here. First off, first thing I noticed is his background image is pretty cool. Open to work is a fine banner on here. Backend software developer, Ruby on Rails, that's fine. Good use of keywords and stuff in here. Riverside, that's pretty cool. You going to UC Riverside? Oh no, you went to Turing. Well, you claim to have worked at Turing. We'll get to that. But you were a Turing student. Awesome. Let's see. Handful of mutual connections. Some of the instructors over there and other folks. And it looks like you finished at Turing. So I like that you've got some activity here. I would like to see a little bit more activity going in here. But backend software developer, Ruby on Rails. This is a good title to have in here. I'm going to go ahead and throw a connection your way. You know who I am. I'm not going to add a note. Normally I would add a note in there. But yeah, love to see some more activity in here as far as like just seeing you comment on other people's posts or being able to post about your job hunt and so on. I think that would be good to just be really transparent about what you're doing here. This about section, as I've talked on the stream before, we really only get to see the first couple of lines of this unless we expand it, but this is where you want to cram all those keywords because your search engine optimization is going to really kick in here. Zooey in the house. Oh, it won't play on the screen. Darn it. I have Kenobi popping up saying hello there. But it doesn't show up on this one, so we'll give you some cheers. Good to have you back in the house, Zooey. Good to see you again. It's been a minute since we've had you in chat. So yeah, anyway, this about section, this is where you want to cram all those keywords about technologies that you've used and so on. Text is my passion. I enjoy learning software development. As someone with previous sales and retail experience, I'm an expert at handling customer questions and concerns. My natural leadership style allows me to manage projects with my team and meet deadlines effectively. I especially enjoy cross-collaboration with front-end engineers to optimize and develop a quality user experience. As I enter the tech industry, I want to impact my team and company positively as a back-end dev. I enjoy working with Ruby on Rails and databases, so I look forward to increasing my knowledge on my front-end skills such as React, JavaScript, HTML, and soon become a full-stack developer. It's important to me to work for a company that values its employees. The best experiences I've had are when employees and employers are both valued. And a company that I can invest in and one that will invest in me is what I'm looking for. I would love to share more about my passion for learning, coding, and being an awesome human being. Generally, this is pretty good. There are a few things in here I would probably change. You're putting a lot of emphasis on I'm not there yet. Like that's really the theme that I get out of this is like, I'm on the journey, but I'm not there yet. I'm looking forward to one day when I become. You are a software developer. That needs to be your message here. You want to talk about the value that you bring, and you do talk about that a little bit. I enjoy working with Ruby on Rails and databases. You meet deadlines, and you're looking forward to, or you put a lot of emphasis on user experience. All that stuff is good. But there's a lot of ask in here as well, what I would call an ask of what you're looking for in a company. Is it bad to have that in here? Not really, but this is really where you want to cram a lot of keywords about the things that you do, like API development, API consumption, MVC, design pattern, or architecture, if you want to call it architecture, although the proper terminology is going to be design pattern for MVC. But being able to talk about a lot of the technologies that you've used and learned and where you're continuing to grow, I think would be good in here. Having your email address in here is fine. Anybody that's going to connect with you will get to see that contact information later on. But yeah, you want to be careful like asking for too much here. You really want to promote, like, this is the value that I bring. So up at the very top, you're calling yourself a backend developer. And you call yourself a Ruby on Rails developer, but like you don't mention anything in here about like what kinds of projects you like to make, what kinds of applications you like to make, where your sort of expertise is. The fact that you know test-driven development, that you can follow good software design principles and things like that. You want to put all that kind of stuff in here as well. You have a lot of room in here to use. I think you've got something like 5,000 characters or something that you can fill up in here. So make use of that if you can. And right now, this is all one giant paragraph. I'd probably break it up into like a couple of smaller paragraphs where like one is a little bit about you and your background, one is a little bit about the technologies, and then you can have one at the very bottom about I'm continuing to learn. I want to become a full stack dev. I want to grow in JavaScript and React. The downside to having things like React in here and front end is if someone's looking for a front end developer with React, your profile could pop up, and they're going to look through it, and they're going to look through all of this and go, you don't have any React experience. Like, what are you talking about? And then they're going to look and go, oh, you want to learn React? Okay, well, you're not the candidate I'm looking for. Which, you could argue is like, well, I know I'm not the candidate that you're looking for because you're looking for a React developer and I want to learn React someday. But you have to be careful putting keywords on here about things that you want to learn and the direction that you want to go as far as naming those technologies, because you could show up on a search. And so you generally only want to populate this with terms of things that you actually know now. You can definitely say like, I want to grow and become a full stack developer by utilizing front end technologies and things like that, but maybe don't name them. Otherwise, it can lead to confusion there. I'm glad I got your perspective on that. I didn't see it that way until now. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm here. So experience. When I see Turing listed as experience as opposed to education, I feel a strong twinge of misrepresentation. When I first looked this up here, it's like you both worked at Turing. I actually worked at Turing. I was an instructor at Turing. You did not work at Turing. You were a student at Turing. It is education, not experience. And I know that there's some confusion, and some of the career development folks at Turing are like, yeah, go ahead and put it as experience. It's not. It's project experience. It is not professional experience. I would recommend taking it off as experience. Leave it down here as education. A lot of what you're talking about here, you can also list down here in the education section, but you don't want to misrepresent yourself. By having it on here, even though you're calling yourself a student, you're showing up as though you were an employee of the school. And to me, that's a misrepresentation. I see a lot of folks from code schools do this because they want to look like they've got some amount of professional experience, but you do have to be really careful with this. It could backfire on you. And it's feedback that I've given the school, and it's feedback that I've given to other students. I think that it doesn't fit. Like when a hiring manager looks at this, they're like, oh, so you didn't actually work at the school. And what you don't want is you don't want them to start thinking like, oh, well, what else is going to be like, is other stuff on here going to show up like that? Like, were you actually a mobile expert at T-Mobile? I mean, in this case, yes. But like it starts to put suspicion on other things that you claim to know or claim to be when you misrepresent things like that. So for me, I would actually take that off as experience. I think that a lot of what you're talking about here, when we expand this out, a lot of what you're talking about with that Turing journey, I think you could put down as part of the education and explain the education a little bit more. In here, though, you're filling up all those keywords that I talked about in that About section. So you want to get all that stuff up in the About section as well. Also, as we approach the end of my Turing journey, you have approached the end of your Turing journey. You have graduated, and so you're going to want to go back and reword some of this stuff anyway. One of the best and most expensive roller coaster rides I've ever taken. Yeah, it's a little spendy to go to Turing. Getting through Turing had a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes my confidence was peaking and I was slicing through. Yep. Other times I doubted myself. You do have to be a little bit careful showing vulnerability like this, because you don't want people reading this to go, are you like the impactful, like strong, confident kind of programmer that we want on the team? Or are you like this wishy-washy, like, are you going to succeed if we hire you? Or are you going to kind of flip-flop back and forth? Is there a confidence issue here that we need to deal with? And so I would probably change up some of the wording on here and just say, I'm done. I did the thing. It was a roller coaster, but I made it through. These are the skills that I have, and just be really strong and like put a confident foot forward in how you're wording the stuff. During the interview, you can say had its ups and downs, but you don't want to present that up front. You don't want people biasing against you before they ever interview you. Cool. And then T-Mobile, talking about customer needs and so on. Yeah, this kind of stuff is good to have, showing professional experience and user empathy and stuff like that. Install commercial grade cameras and so on. Yeah, so these things are absolutely fine to have on here. Software development skills, endorsed by 3 colleagues, endorsed by Sam Smith. Cool. Yeah, I would say if you can get other folks in your cohort to come in and endorse some of these skills, get some of your instructors to come in and endorse some of these skills too, if you could, that also helps. If I reload, are we a connection? Yeah, we are now first connections. So now I can come in and I can also endorse you for these things. Because I know if you made it through Turing, you can do these things. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to endorse you on some of this stuff too. RESTful APIs. One thing you may want to specify in here is building RESTful APIs, but also consuming RESTful APIs. You may want to split this out into 2 different things. Marketing, I don't know. Business, I don't know. Ruby, yep. I know you know Ruby. I know you know Ruby on Rails. Databases, plural. Sketch, you know one database. You've used Postgres. So I will endorse you for SQL. But for databases, plural, I would actually just put Postgres in here as something to do, or as something to list as far as a skill goes. And then I like that you've got your project work on here. I think this is great. I like that you're doing this kind of like user empathy statement of like this catchy sort of elevator pitch on here. I think that's great. A Rails front end for service oriented. So over here you kind of start with this. This is what the user can do, but over here you say, oh, okay, it was buried up here. A user can enter in data about their menstrual cycle as well as their horoscope. So Astroflow, okay, gotcha. I would probably always start with the user empathy statement about like, what is this app? Like, what is it for? Who uses it? Why did they use it? And then tell me the tech stack afterward. Don't start with a Rails front end. Also, Rails should be capital R. Don't start with the tech stack. Because like the example that I would tell Turing students is if you're in an elevator with a venture capitalist and you've got like 10 seconds, you're not gonna be like, I made the most amazing Rails application. It's this really dope API. It's got a facade and it's got, these really great controllers and models, and ding, the door opens and they leave and they're like, so? Like, but if you get in there and you start with, I built an app for a user, this is what they can do, and this is the impact that it has on their life. That's way more compelling. They don't care how you built it. They want to know what you built. So I always start with the what and then put the how afterwards. Sweater weather, yay. It's one of my favorite projects. So yeah, I love that you've got your project work on here. I think that's great. You put dates on here too, which is fine. Generally, when you're building out a resume, you probably won't put dates for the projects on the resume. Having them on here is fine, but you probably won't do that on a resume. But having project work on here is good. One thing that I would like to see in here is, was it a group project? Was it a solo project? What were your main sort of learning opportunities? Like, how did you grow during the project? What did you do? What was your responsibility as part of a group? And then, talk a little bit more about technologies that you used and things like that. And then interests, game taco. Okay, cool. So yeah, overall, not bad. Not bad. I'll give you a good job on this one. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.